Very good afternoon, students. In our previous class, we discussed asymmetric key encryption process as well as hash function. These both techniques, both cryptographic techniques we discussed in our previous class. So starting with asymmetric key encryption or asymmetric key cryptography, we said here we need two keys, one for encryption and the other one is for decryption. So the reason why the name has given as asymmetric key cryptography. So generally, every person involved in this process will have two keys. One, he will maintain it as secretly, and we call it as a private key, and one he will disclose it to everyone, and we call it as a public key. And whoever wants to send the data to some person X with this cryptographic technique, he has to use X public key in order to encrypt the data, and he transmit the ciphertext over the public channel. Here, no need of any secured channel or no need of any paid channel. What I mean to say. So once the receiver receives the message, ciphertext message, what he will do means he will make use of his private key in order to decrypt that message. That is the reason why here no sharing of private key. In this way, the people are maintaining the confidentiality, or what we say, the trust between the parties. Because here no need of sharing of any confidential information, no need of disclosing of key to any third party for sharing purpose, and no need of using any secured channel for sharing of key. So all these drawbacks, whatever we have in symmetric key encryption, to some extent we overcome with the help of this asymmetric key encryption. So the examples we discussed for this asymmetric key encryption are DSS, that is digital signature standard, and RSA algorithm, ELGAMAL. All these are some of the examples we discussed for public key encryption process. Then we discussed about hash functions and how this hash function is helpful in order to convert the readable form of message or convert the input given to it into an equi-length digest, into an equi-length, what we call um, uh, arbitrary length input message we are giving, and we are getting the equal size message digest, isn't it? So we have given different names to that one. We said hash value, we said some what we call that message digest. Okay, all these names we have given with that to that one. And simply how these hash functions are helpful in our process of cryptography, in our process of maintaining the confidentiality, in the sense, in order to make a particular document as authentic, a particular electronic document as authentic, we are making use of these hash functions. So generally how these hash functions will work means they will take a variable length or arbitrary length or different sizes of message blocks as input, and they will generate a fixed size hash value or fixed size message digest, isn't it? So this thing we have discussed in our previous class, and in today's class we'll be discussing uh, the two different and two important techniques of encryption process. Previously also I have given some idea related to these two techniques. And we said in every encryption process we basically performs a combination of these two techniques. Okay, in modern cryptographic algorithms we said we are going to perform a combination of these two techniques as part of the encryption process. So those two techniques are nothing but our transposition and substitution techniques. So substitution and transposition techniques. These two are the basic building blocks of all encryption techniques, we can say. Whatever encryption algorithm you select, whatever the standardized encryption algorithm you select, definitely they will have these two techniques in turn, isn't it? They will perform either one after the other, or they will perform some rounds of these substitution and transposition techniques. That is nothing but either they go in this way That means first they will perform a set of substitution operations or a single substitution operation. Let me just connect my marker over here as it is not working. Yes. So now the different set of techniques we said, substitution and transposition, and generally in every encryption algorithm how these substitution and transposition techniques will be performed in the sense. So in order to perform encryption, yeah, they will go in this way. First, let us assume they are performing substitution. So then after this substitution they will perform transposition, and these steps they will maintain confidentially. Whatever techniques they are applying, the order how they are applying, they will maintain confidentially, because this will also become a part of your key only, confidential information only. Again they will perform, let us say, substitution. Like this they will do, and finally they will get the ciphertext. In this manner, the input what we are giving in the encryption process means plain text we are giving as an input to this substitution, and from there we are performing whatever output we are getting. To that output we are performing this transposition, and again whatever output we'll get from this transposition, to that we are performing one more substitution, and finally we are getting the ciphertext. So when you perform the decryption, how we go? We go in the reverse. So ultimately we'll follow the same. First we'll perform the substitution to the ciphertext, and then we'll perform the transposition to that intermediary text, and again we'll perform the substitution to get the plain text. In this way they will perform the decryption. Or they will go like this: they will perform 16 rounds or some specific count number of rounds of substitutions on the given plain text, and then let us assume 8 rounds of transpositions. Like this they will take some fixed value. These fixed value is part of your key only. Then they will perform transposition. So like this again they will perform 16 rounds of substitutions before obtaining the. So how these rounds will work, that we will discuss in turn. Will be elaborate the symmetric key algorithms or asymmetric key algorithms. There will study how these rounds of operations will be performed. So till that time you simply remember, not a single operation but 16 rounds of substitution operations they are performing. Again transposition, not a single operation but 8 rounds of transposition operations they are performing. So in this way these substitution and transposition techniques will work. Okay, so whatever output we will get, that output they will give as an input to the next operation. So in that same way they are performing 16 rounds of substitution, then 8 rounds of transposition, then 16 rounds of substitution before getting the ciphertext. So once they perform all these operations, they will get the ciphertext, and in order to get the plain text, they will perform all these operations in reverse. They will go in reverse before obtaining the plain text. So in this way, either individual operations or set of operations or rounds of operations they will perform in the process of encryption and decryption. So before proceeding, we have to know what is what uh, types of substitution techniques we have, and what types are of transposition techniques we have under this substitution and transposition technique. So first we'll go with this substitution technique. It is a simple technique. Substitution means in which the letters of the plain text are replaced by the letters or by numbers or by symbols. So generally from where do we get these numbers, these symbols, these letters? In the sense, we follow an approach by using the key. We follow an approach to gain these numbers, these symbols, or these letters. So ultimately these things, whatever we are obtaining for this substitution, whatever we are generating for this substitution, they are dependent on the key itself. Based on the key value only, we are going to get these letters, these substituted letters, substituted numbers, and substituted symbols. We'll discuss one simple example for the substitution technique. There you will understand how these substitution technique is imposed and gained letters, numbers, and symbols as part of this transformation, or what we can say, the key is generated. Okay, if the plain text is viewed as a sequence of bits, then substitution involves replacing the plain text bit patterns with ciphertext bit patterns. So that replacement, how we are doing from plain text to ciphertext bits, it is dependent on the virtual clarity of your key. Whatever key we are selecting, based on that key value only, we are generating some virtual clarity in between. That virtual clarity is nothing but your letters, numbers, and symbols. Based on these things, we will replace each and every alphabet in your plain text to an alphabet into your ciphertext, or each and every bit in your plain text to a subsequent bit in your ciphertext, based on that key transformation only. So quickly we see one simple example to perform this substitution technique, and one such example is your Caesar cipher. It is a most important question for your SAQs. How the working of this Caesar cipher. There are some steps. That steps only you have to narrate as part of your answer. Okay, Caesar cipher. It is the most well known and the earliest and the simplest substitution cipher, substitution technique, we can say. It was introduced by Julius Caesar. He was one of the ruler of your Roman Empire. If you know the Roman history, if you have studied this Roman history at your elementary level, you might be aware of this person. Okay, Julius Caesar, he was one of the rulers of your Roman Empire. Okay, he introduced the concept of this cipher, or the substitution cipher. So they named this cipher under after his name, and they call it as Caesar cipher. Okay, the Caesar cipher involves replacing. Generally, substitution means replacing the plain text alphabets only. Okay, so it involves replacing the plain text letters with the letters standing three places further down the alphabet. So what is the key over here is, yeah, this example already I have explained in my previous class also. So again we are discussing over here. So generally what we do means, whatever character, so first we write the entire alphabet and we get the key based on the alphabet down, alphabet letter down three characters. Whatever character we have in the alphabet, in the key we select the subsequent character, that is three characters down. How we are selecting the subsequent character? In the sense, in the English alphabet we select a subsequent character or subsequent alphabet, and that too three character down. So suppose if we are having A in our plain text, so three characters down in the sense, in the alphabet in the sense, we have to select B, C, D. So D will become your subsequent character in the ciphertext. You have A in the plain text and you are getting D in the ciphertext, and 3 is your key. So we go three letters down or three characters down in the alphabet and we select the subsequent character or subsequent alphabet. And it is so here they have given one example. See, meet me after the toga party. This is the plain text. So meet me after the toga party. So this is my plain text. I want to send this plain text to my friend, and that too confidentially. So what I will do means, I will transfer this plain text into cipher, so that I will get like this. Caesar cipher. If I apply Caesar cipher, I am getting like this: PHHW, PH, DIWHU, WKH, WRJD, SDB, SDUWB. So if you read this ciphertext, you will not understand anything. But if you read the plain text, you have the clarity of what you have to do. So how we are getting the ciphertext for this plain text, in the sense, by applying the Caesar cipher. So here, so not only going three characters down, but also the entire alphabet is wrapped around. Wrapped around in the sense, the last after the last character Z, again we'll get back to the first character, that is A. After the Z, we will have A. So that is the reason why we are saying the entire alphabet is wrapped around. So, so that the last letter Z is followed by the A letter. So the transformation possibilities can be defined as follows. With that key and with that motivation of having wrapped around alphabet, we got this ciphertext for the plain text. Whatever plain text character we have, we'll get a subsequent ciphertext character, something like this. So if, yeah, as you have plain text A over here. So what you have? You have plain text A over here, and to that A we are getting D. Why means, so if you see the yeah, here A B C D, how many characters we have moved to down? We have to move 3 characters down. So that is 1 2. So from here to here 1, here to here 2, and here to here 3. So we got D. So that D we are keeping as a replacement to A. So same way, and rest of all the characters you will get like that only. So E F G H I J K L up to Z. So once you got the Z, as the alphabet is wrapped around, what you have to do? Again, you have to go back and you have to select A. So X replacement you got A, and Y replacement you got B, and Z replacement you got C. So what was my plain text in the previous example, that is meet me after toga party? That was my plain text. So that I am writing over here. So the plain text is meet me after the toga party. TOGAPARTY. So something like this. So for this M, I will get P. So P, and for this E, I will get H. So H, H. For this T, I will get W. So like that. So me. For M, I will get J. Sorry, not J. For M, what I will get? For M, I will get P again. P. And for E, I will get H. For A, D. For F, I. For T, W. For E, H. For R, I will get like U. Then THE. For T, again, I will get I. And for H, I will get K. And for E, I will get H. Okay. So toga, TOGA. For T, again, I will get, for T, I will get W. And for O, I will get, yeah, for here, for T, I will get W. And for H, I will get K. And for E, I will get H. So here for T, again W. For O, I will get R. For G, I will get J. For A, I will get D. Okay. Party. For P, I will get what? S. Okay. For A, I will get D. For R, I will get U. T, again W. And Y, I will get B. So something like this. We are obtaining the ciphertext to the corresponding plain text, or we can say we are obtaining the corresponding ciphertext for this given plain text. So in this way we are performing. In this way the Caesar cipher will work. Okay. So simply, once the recipient gains the plain, ciphertext, what he will do? He will perform the reverse of the encryption process. That is, he will select the ciphertext character P and he will look for the plain text character M. So here we have P, so he will get M, again E, E, T, M, E. Likewise, meet me, and after the toga party, that plain text he will get. Simply, he will perform the reverse of the encryption operation. So in this way, this Caesar cipher will work. It's very simple operation, Caesar cipher, and it is one of the substitution technique. One of the substitution technique. We have many. Okay. So under that, we are discussing this one, and I have listed some of the important Caesar cipher techniques in your notes. Just follow that notes. It is more than enough. Just follow that notes, and whatever techniques they will ask in the examination, if you prepare those techniques, it is more than enough. So after the discussion of this Caesar cipher, so see, just the numericals, not only applying the alphabets as a ciphertext, but also we can apply the numericals as a ciphertext. So if we assume all the characters from 0 to 25, isn't it, 0 to 25, then the algorithm can be expressed as follows. We have to shift down 3 characters, isn't it, 3 letters. So that to get the ciphertext, what we are doing, we are applying the encryption technique Okay, we are applying the encryption technique by simply moving 3 characters down on the plain text. By simply moving 3 characters down on the plain text, we are getting the ciphertext. So that is nothing but whatever plain text you have, simply add 3 positions to that plain text and perform the modulo 26 modulo operation with 26. Why we are performing this modulo 26 means because our alphabet is wrapped around. Because our alphabet is wrapped around, that is the reason why we are performing modulo 26. So let us say my character, plain text character is Z. My plain text, the purpose of applying this mod 26 I'm explaining now. My ciphertext, my plain text character is Z. So what I have to do, I have to move 3 positions down, isn't it? 3 positions down, move 3 positions down. So 23 Z. In place of Z, I have to put the numerical equivalent of Z. That is nothing but 25. So 25 plus 3. What we will get? 25 plus 3. It is something like 28, isn't it? It is something like 28. So do we have any character equivalent for this 28 in our table? No, we don't have. So what we have to do? Simply apply mod 26. So here also you apply mod 26. So you will get what? 2. You will get 2. So we have the character equivalent for 2, that is C. So simply push this C into the ciphertext. Push this C into the ciphertext. So in that way, we are going to perform the encryption process. And decryption process, it is exactly simple. So if you generalize, see here we said only 3 positions we are moving. If you make this position value is also variable, if you make this position value variable, then we have to apply a particular key at that location. So that key, if you consider it as K, then your entire algorithm, your complete algorithm, Caesar algorithm in a generalized form will become like this. So that is C equals to encryption on key comma P. Encryption on key comma P, and the elaboration for that one is P plus key mod 26. The elaboration of this encryption on K comma P, key comma P, key comma plain text, encryption on key comma plain text. If you see the elaboration according to Caesar cipher, that is equals to P plus K mod 26. This is the elaboration where key is the key and key is the number of positions basically from 1 to 26. Don't put don't put what we call up to 26. So 1 to 25. Okay, so the decryption algorithm, it is very simple. To get the plain text, we have to apply the decryption on key and ciphertext character. So that is nothing but C minus K, C minus K mod 26. C minus K mod 26. Whatever we are adding as part of my encryption process, those many positions I have to subtract as part of my decryption process. So this is your Caesar cipher. Okay, it is very simple to do perform the cryptanalysis because we are not taking any other character. Simply we are moving number of positions into the what we call plain text only. So it is if it is known that a Caesar given Caesar ciphertext is a Caesar cipher, then a brute force cryptanalysis is easily performed. Simply try all the 25 possible keys. How many keys we will get? Only 25 key possibilities we will get with 25 characters. So if we apply all the 25 possible keys, ultimately we'll get and we'll look for some meaningful message, isn't it? We look for some meaningful message by applying every set of key. So once we get every individual key, once we get the meaningful message, we'll conclude that as the valid key and that as the valid message. So it is very easy to perform the cryptanalysis on Caesar cipher. So the next form of substitution technique, that is monoalphabetic ciphers. In this monoalphabetic ciphers also, according to the key, we will replace our plain text character with an equivalent ciphertext character. So let us say if we have A in the plain text and we'll get an equivalent D. So for all A's in my plain text, I will get equivalent D's only. There is no other character or no other alphabet is used for the equivalent plain text character. If you have A and you are getting D in your plain ciphertext, means for all A's in your plain text, you will get D's only. There is no other character is used. So that is the reason why they are very simple to break. They are very simple to perform cryptanalysis. Our monoalphabetic ciphers. And our Caesar cipher, just now whatever we have seen, Caesar cipher, that Caesar cipher is one such example of monoalphabetic cipher. Because for every possible alphabet inside the plain text, we have a different character inside the ciphertext. That is the reason why if A is repeated for n number of times, you will get the same ciphertext character for all A's inside your plain text. So anybody can easily trace that one, and anybody can easily disclose your confidential message without much effort. Without much effort. So to perform cryptanalysis, it is very easy on monoalphabetic ciphers. So that is the reason why here, if you read the last point, these type of ciphers, that is nothing but monoalphabetic ciphers, they are highly susceptible to cryptanalysis. They are highly susceptible. Susceptible in the sense easily crackable, easily disclosable. Okay. So next is the polyalphabetic ciphers. Poly means one. Yeah, it is. There is no guarantee that all my A's or all same characters in ciphertext will have same substitution character in ciphertext. So in previously what will happen, we have seen that example, that is meet me at toga party. Meet me at toga party. So we replaced this E with H, isn't it? This E with H. So all my E's inside the plain text got replaced with H only, isn't it? All my E's inside the plain text got replaced with H inside ciphertext. And we replaced A with D, isn't it? D. So all my A's inside the plain text got replaced with D's only. So like this. So this is the drawback of monoalphabetic ciphers. Monoalphabetic ciphers. Because for every plain text letter, for every plain text character, we are having an equivalent substitute inside the key or inside the ciphertext. So that is the reason why for all E's or for all same characters in the plain text, we are getting same characters in the ciphertext. They are becoming susceptible to the cryptanalysis because of this reason. They are simply doing the pattern matching, and they are seeing with English words, they are doing the pattern matching, and what it could be, what letter it could be, or what word it could be. Based on that, they are easily decrypting, or they are easily performing the cryptanalysis and gaining the actual key or actual message. Hopefully you understood. So then the next is polyalphabetic ciphers. So there is no guarantee that every E or every same character in my plain text will have the same character replacement in the ciphertext. So here what will happen, if first E is getting replaced with H, the second E will be replaced with some other character. There is no guarantee that you will get H only over here. Because of this reason, they are becoming more difficult to perform the cryptanalysis. The polyalphabetic ciphers are becoming more difficult to perform the cryptanalysis. So polyalphabetic ciphers is a substitution cipher in which the cipher alphabet for the plain text alphabet may be different at different places during the encryption process. Okay, so we have some of the examples for such cryptographic ciphers or polyalphabetic ciphers. One is Playfair cipher, other one is Wegener cipher, and we also have one-time padding cipher. All these are the examples for polyalphabetic ciphers, and we discuss only this Playfair. I request you to do homework on this Wegener as well as that one-time padding ciphers to get the idea of how these ciphers will work. Okay, I'm explaining one and I'm giving one as an homework because those two techniques are very similar. Those two techniques are very similar. Just the key values are different. How we are gaining the table patterns. How we are gaining the table patterns. Plain text to ciphertext table patterns. The getting of the table pattern is different for every technique. For every technique, if you know one, if you able to analyze one technique, one algorithm, it will become very easy for you to analyze the other technique or other algorithm. So we'll study how this Playfair cipher will work. So quickly, what we do means, under this Playfair cipher, I will take one plain text example, and I will apply the entire algorithm, and I will show you how we are getting the ciphertext so that you can work on the other techniques. So here, let us take this Playfair cipher example. It is a alphabetic ciphers. That means for same character at different places in your plain text, you will get different characters in your ciphertext. So that is polyalphabetic ciphers. In that, we are discussing Playfair ciphers. Playfair cipher technique. It is also very simple technique, but it is very difficult to perform the cryptanalysis. Soon you will understand why it is difficult. So they will first, what they will do means they will take um, a key value. They will take a key value. So that key, it is going to be an English like word, a simple word, English like word with no redundant character. It should be an English like word with no redundant character. Redundant in the sense repeated, no repeated characters. If the character gets repeated means we simply remove the second character from that letter, from that word, and we'll make the key. So here we'll assume the key as tutorial. It is a word, isn't it? We are assuming the key as tutorial. Tutorials. This is my key. So which character is getting repeated over here? T is getting repeated. T is getting repeated. So what I have to do? Remove that key, remove that T and form the key. So now my key is T U T. Sorry, not T. Now Tutorials. This is my key now without any repetition of characters. Once you decided the key, what uh, once you decided the key, they will take a grid of 5 cross 5 table. Okay, they will take a table of 5 cross 5. 5 cross 5 means 5 rows and 5 columns. So likewise they will take the table. So in this way they will frame the table. So how many columns, how many rows? 5 rows and 5 columns. So 2, 3, 4, 4. Take another 5. And how many columns we need? 5 columns. So 1, then the second, then third, and then finally 4 and 5 columns. Now we have 5 cross 5 table. Okay. Then what we have to do means start from the first row. Okay, don't consider the columns. Start from the first row and put this entire key as the first portion. As the first portion. So what we have to do here, you put T U O R I A L S. Likewise. After this, now you start writing the complete English alphabet by skipping the words, by skipping the letters, what we got over here already. By skipping the letters, what we got in this word already. So my English alphabet will start from A. So we already got A. So simply skip that A. Skip that A. Next you take B. Okay. Do we have C over here? No. So put C, then E. Okay. Likewise, uh, BC. Okay. After BC, we do have D, right? So put D, then E, F. Okay. G, H, and we got I over here. In this tutorial, we got I over here. So skip I, and we see here 5 cross 5. How many letters you will get? Only 25 letters will get. So what we do means from that entire alphabet, we'll skip one character. From that entire alphabet, we'll skip one character, and we call that character as, okay, generally we skip J only. From that entire alphabet, we'll skip J only. So whenever there is a possibility that you have to put J, instead of J, we make use of I only. Instead of J, we make use of I only. Because this is standardized. In regular routine English, it is observed that whatever sentences we are going to frame or whatever words we are going to frame, it is observed that we use J character very less. I mean, very rarely we use this J character. So that is the reason why what they have done means they replaced this J with I. So whenever there is a requirement of keeping this J in your in your ciphertext, in place of J, what we do, we simply put I only. We simply put I only. And after the conversion, we check for the clarity of the message. If clarity is missing, what we do, in place of J, we will put, in place of I, we will put J and we'll check. Soon you will understand that one. So after G, we'll get H. Then, yes, after H, what we will get? Yeah, we'll skip I, we already got now, and J we are skipping. So we get K, L is already here. So M, N, O is already here. So P, Q, R is there. So R, S is also there. T is also there. So V, first we'll get U. U is also there. So V, W, X, Y, Z. Like this, we form the complete key table. Okay, we are calling this as key table. Okay, we'll form the complete key table. So now you have the key table. So now how we are going to get the what we call plain text to ciphertext combination. Okay, so let us assume our plain text is uh, hide money. Okay, hide money. So this is my plain text. I want to send this plain text to my friend confidentially or after performing the cryptography, we can say. So in order to convert this plain text into ciphertext, what we have to do means frame sets, I mean pairs of two letters, that is HIDEMONE. Likewise, if you will get one left out letter, so simply club that letter with Z. Okay, it is also a standard. Club that letter or mix that letter with Z and frame a pair. So now how many pairs we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pairs we have. HI one pair, DE one pair, MO one pair, NE one pair, and YZ another pair. Because this Y it got left out, so we added this Z to make a pair. We added this Z to make a pair. It is also a rule under this play fade cipher. Whenever you are framing or whenever you are forming such pairs, if one character is left out without any pair equivalent, so what we have to do, we have to add Z. This is only in case of left out character. If there is no left out character, no need to add this extra Z. Hopefully you understood. So now what we have to do after forming the pairs, yeah, put these characters in this table. So we have HI. So where this H is, yeah, here we have this H. Here we have this H. And where this I is, here we have this I. If they are coming in a same column, we simply have to select the character down to the character what we got inside the key table. So for this H we have to select C, and for this I we have to select this C, and for this H we have to select Q. So what equivalent letters I will get means, after performing this, I will get, for this H I will get Q, and for this I will get C. So like this. Next, DE. So D is here, E is here. If they are falling under the same row, you select the equivalent right side character to that given character. Right side character. So for this D, I have to select the right side character, that is E. And for this E, I have to select the right side character, that is F. So EF. Likewise. For all other reasons, MO we have. For all other reasons, M is falling here and O is falling somewhere here. What we have to do means draw a rectangle, okay, by keeping those characters at the corner. Draw a rectangle like this by keeping those two characters at the corners. Now select the subsequent corner letters. So for O we have to select U, and for M we have to select N. like this. So for M, we have to select N, and for O, we have to select U. So likewise. Okay, so for this NE also we will get MF. After applying the same rules, I will get for NE, I will get MF. For YZ, I will get ZV. ZV. So the plain text you will get for that given cipher text, the plain text you will get something like this. Plain text, sorry, not plain text, this is given plain text, we are calculating the ciphertext, right? We are not performing the decryption, we are performing the encryption. So the ciphertext you will get, ciphertext you will get QC EF NV MF and ZV. So like this ciphertext you have to transmit to your friend over the public channel. So in this way we perform the what we call encryption under this uh, Playfair cipher technique. Playfair cipher technique. Under what technique we are performing this type of operation means Playfair. First we have to select a word, keyword, and using that keyword we have to form the key table. And when you are forming the key table, select only 25 characters by omitting J, and form a table of 5 cross 5, 5 rows, 5 columns, and start writing this key word at the beginning. And after that, put all the remaining English alphabet letters. Okay, whatever letters you got under that word, you simply skip those words. So when you are converting plain text into ciphertext, form the two letter pairs. Form two letter pairs, and if you left over with one character at the end, add Z and form another pair. Okay, so then add those two letters. I mean, highlight those two letters under your uh, key table. If both the letters are falling under the same column, what we have to do, we have to select the immediate down letter from the key table. If both the letters are forming inside a same row, we have to select immediate right side letter of that letters. If they are not falling on the same row, same column, draw a rectangle and select the subsequent corner letters. Draw a rectangle by keeping those two letters as corners and select the subsequent corner letters. So in that way, this Playfair cipher will work. We do have another technique of Wegener cipher that is also exactly similar to this Playfair cipher. I'm not saying same, I'm saying similar. So you have to go through the concept, you have to go through the steps in order to analyze that technique, substitution technique. And also we have one-time padding cipher, one-time pad cipher, that also you have to go through. Next is the transposition technique, and with this we will conclude our class. Next is transposition. Transposition, it is entirely different kind of mapping technique. Unlike substitution, what we do means we perform here what we call transposition. Okay, so instead of selecting a replacement for the given plain text character, what we do means we simply shuffle whatever characters we have inside the plain text. We'll shuffle those characters only, we'll not take any other character into our consideration. So that is the transposition technique, and example for that transposition technique is rail fence. Rail fence, we call that example as rail fence technique, and how that technique works we see over here. So take one simple example of, and our key we are considering it as 5. So here only the column count we are considering, we are not considering the row count. What we are considering, we are considering the column count. So column count as part of key we are giving, and plain text you consider it as, plain text is that same thing we will consider. Meet me after toga party. Meet me after toga party. Okay, this is my plain text. So now what I have to do, key they have given 4. So this is 4 is nothing but your column count. So now what I have to do, I have to divide my entire key table into 4 columns only. Rows, they can be any number. Okay, as long as I'm not filling up with this plain text characters, you can draw number of rows. But columns, they have given fixed size, that is 4. So 4 columns only I have to take. And now I will start writing my this plain text over here. So first row, what I have to do? Meet. Okay. So that is MEET. Then MEAF I have. Me after, right? So 2 letters from this word, ME. So MEAF. AF. Like this I will get. Next 4 letters, TERT. TER after. Then from this toga party we are getting T. T. So next is OGAP. So OGAP. Okay. So next thing, after this what we have after P? ARTY. So like that. ARTY. So in order to perform the transposition according to this rail fence technique, what we do means instead of considering the rows for the message, we'll consider the columns. We'll consider the columns. So what is that? We'll consider the columns. What is that? So that is M. So what ciphertext I will get? Ciphertext. Simply see this ciphertext. First I will get MMTOA. MMTOA. Then EEEGR. EEEGR. Then we have EARAT. EARAT. Next is TFTPY. TFTPY. Here only I will write TFTPY like this. This is my ciphertext. So simply by performing the reverse of this ciphertext using the same key table or using this same 4 key count, yeah, the receiver can decode this message. The receiver can get the plain text from this ciphertext. So in this way, different substitution and transposition techniques are helpful in performing the encryption and decryption processes in our cryptographic algorithms. So we discussed in today's class, we discussed substitution and transposition techniques. Substitution techniques, we discussed monoalphabetic ciphers, that is nothing but your Caesar cipher we discussed. Then polyalphabetic ciphers, Playfair cipher we discussed, one example. And then under transposition techniques, we discussed rail fence technique. Hopefully you understood these concepts. They are very simple to understand. Just you have to remember the logic. Once you read it, you will easily remember that one. And under this transposition and substitution techniques, definitely they will ask one question. Okay, either Caesar cipher or rail fence technique or that polyalphabetic, that is nothing but your Playfair cipher. Any one particular technique they will ask. And not only these techniques, they have given some other techniques as well in your textbook that I have what we call highlighted, or that we have taken into consideration into our notes. Simply go through the notes and prepare well for those techniques. Hopefully you understood. So we'll see the next concept, that is key size, key management, as well as the types of examples for cryptographic attacks. Types of cryptographic attacks or examples for cryptographic attacks that we will see in our next class. With that, we will conclude this first unit, hopefully. Thank you very much, students.